What's up, fam? Bam! What's going on out there, man? It is the homie, Mainman Mademan in the building. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing. What up to the fam? And what up to everybody over there in Mainman Mademan's boxing forum over there on Facebook, man. All day. Thumbs up as you pull up, man. Hey, look here, man. Want to talk about my main man, Bob Crawford, for a minute. And I'm going to tell you straight like this, fight fans. Man, Bob Arum has now disrespected Terence Crawford to the limit. This does it right here for me. If I'm Terence Crawford, after what Bob Arum been saying and the way things are starting to look, man, there's no way I would ever work with Bob Arum ever again. Let's talk about this, fight fans. Look, man, I've been looking up some of Bob Arum's recent interviews, and he just did one over there on FightHype.com on Fight Hype. And what he was basically talking about in that interview is his relationship working with Terence Crawford going forward. And he's expressing some things that's got me a little surprised, to be honest with you. Now, we know in the past that Bob Arum has said that he was losing money on Terence Crawford, and that he can build a house in Beverly Hills, and everyone thought that he was disrespecting Terence Crawford. And I said, nah, that ain't him disrespecting Terence Crawford. That's him squealing because Terence Crawford got him under $1 million penalty, and Terence Crawford is having his fight contracts delivered to Bob Arum through a lawyer ringside. Bob Arum also did not know what Terence Crawford's future plans were, and was he going to move on beyond Top Rank. So Bob Arum had a hell of a lot to say. Well, in this recent interview with Fight Hype, this is what Bob Arum is saying now, fight fans. And according to Bob Arum, and I quote, going forward, he's saying, I quote, I hope he fights for Top Rank for the rest of his career, but that's certainly up to him, end quote. Hold up. Did you not say you was losing money on the man? If I'm losing money on somebody, losing my money, it's no way in hell I'm going to go back in business with him. So are you losing money or are you not, Bob Arum? Now, we all know that Terence Crawford is the best draw that Bob Arum got rolling over there with ESPN. He got the best numbers over there on ESPN. Does Bob Arum really want Terence Crawford to go? Or was he just talking smack? And another thing, Bob Arum recently just signed a new deal over there with Sky Sports in the UK. On Sky Sports' website, they're mentioning Terence Crawford as to be fighting on their network now. Would Bob Arum could do a new TV deal not having Terence Crawford? Real spill? I mean, does that make any sense? So, of course, he wants to be in business with Terence Crawford. And last piece, but he also, the Errol Spence Jr. fight still exists. Does Bob Arum still not want to be a piece of one of the biggest fights in boxing? So with all of that, I think not. I think that Bob Arum definitely wants to stay in the Terence Crawford business. As you can see from this quote right here, he hopes he fights for Top Rank for the rest of his career. Now, I'm going to say this. When I originally heard it, I thought that was a harmless statement. That's just Bob Arum backtracking and showing that he really wants to work with Terence Crawford. But nah, that's to the untrained eye and to the untrained ear. This is Bob Arum flexing, man. This Bob Arum flexing on Terence Crawford and trying to signal to Terence Crawford that you ain't going nowhere, man. What are you talking about? And the reason I say that is because check out Bob Arum's very next statement. When he was asked about Terence Crawford, a contract going forward and how things are going to work out, is Terence Crawford going to leave? This is what Bob Arum has to say. Now, keep in mind also, we know this, fight fans, that Terence Crawford's contract is allegedly supposed to have been up with Top Rank this year, this October, or either after his next fight. And Bob Arum is acknowledging that too. So it's a lot of truth to that. So here's the deal, fight fans. This is what Bob Arum is saying about Terence Crawford's contract. Now check this out. He goes on to say, and I quote, when Lincoln announced the Emancipation Proclamation, it meant that slavery was over. So this is the last year of Terence's contract. But that doesn't mean that he won't continue to fight for Top Rank. Again, he is not obligated to under his contract, and it's as simple as that. End quote. Hold up. What? Do y'all get the first part of this quote? Why, when asked about Terence Crawford's contract, Bob Arum brings up Lincoln freeing slaves, as if to say that Terence Crawford is walking out of a slave contract, as if to say that you had him under a slave contract, as if you were some sort of slave master. That's what I hear when I hear that supposed analogy or example or whatever he was using. Why use that to lead in to talk about Terence Crawford's contract, about Lincoln freeing slaves? Do you look at Terence Crawford like a slave? If I'm Terence Crawford, I'm asking, like, do you look at me as a slave? Why would you bring up that damn analogy? I'm going to leave a link in the description box, Fight fans, so you can hear the audio for yourselves. It's over there on Fight Hype. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So if that's the way Bob Arum is showing his true colors, this is definitely racist. Y'all can miss me with it ain't. Oh, he ain't saying nothing here. Look, this is the way of trying to dress it up. See, I was in the armed forces, so I know how this all goes. See, I ain't never knew nothing but black folks to the age of 18. I'm from DC. I never so much as had a conversation with another race. A white person, a Spanish person, nobody. Asian, nothing. So when I went in, I recognized the racism ASAP. See, they can't call you the N-word to your face in the armed forces, but they got to dress it up. They got to tell little knock-knock jokes. Hey, there's an Italian guy, a Chinese guy, and a black guy. And the black guy always comes up falling short at the end of the joke. Calling you the N-word, but not calling you the N-word. Y'all know what it is. Dressing it up. Acting like they don't know what's going on. And they know exactly what they doing. That's what I hear. That's why I couldn't stay in the armed forces either, Fight fans. Because I was going to hurt somebody. But that's what I hear right here in this statement. That's what I hear right here. I hear you flexing and saying you was a slave master. And then in the same statement, you got the nerve to say he going to come back and work for you, work with you. How you going to say, oh, if I'm Terence Crawford, how you going to say I'm coming back to work for you after you just said I'm leaving a slave situation, like you freeing a slave? You use that example. Why does he feel in this statement that Crawford is going to come back and work with him? It's like he's saying, and then look how he's saying it. This is the last year of Terence Crawford's contract, but that doesn't mean that he won't continue to fight for top rank. Well, if you just assaulted me like that, it's no way in hell I'm ever fighting for top rank again. Why would I? What the, y'all ain't even got nobody. Ain't nothing you telling me you racist? You never liked the fact that they had to pay Terence Crawford so much money. So I'm like, this a bridge too far. This a bridge too far right here. Bob gonna try to probably dress this up because this is gonna set off a firestorm, Fight fans. This is a bridge too far. If I'm Crawford, no way I'm working with Bob Arum again. He ain't got nothing for you. Now here's the deal. There's also news out here surfacing and circulating that Terence Crawford is now possibly allegedly being advised by Daniel Kinahan, the MTK Global guy. Right? Now, remember, people are trying to put two and two together. They remember a few months ago that we seen pictures of Terence Crawford in the Middle East, allegedly on vacation in the Middle East. And there were news articles surfacing at that time that Terence Crawford was out there meeting with MTK Global. And so here today, you fast forward to today, and there's a couple articles leaking out and saying that Terence Crawford is down with Daniel Kinahan and MTK Global, being advised by Daniel Kinahan, the former crime boss. And so the news articles of the day are citing that Bob Arum is saying this, which they are pulling from another article from a publication called the Irish Mirror. So I went back and tried to read that article with the Irish Mirror. And in that article, Bob Arum speaks on far as some of the fighters that Daniel Kinahan manages that he promotes. And the fighters that he was speaking on, it was supposed to have been 3. But I only seen in the article him quoted on speaking on 2. And that was Jamel Herring and Josh Taylor. But the article was alluding to that also Terence Crawford was being advised by Kinahan, which is a very strong possibility, like I said, because he was out there. But I got to say allegedly because I don't have stone cold proof on that. So when people see Bob Arum say, yeah, he's going to come back and fight for Top Rank, and if you know the fact that he's allegedly being advised by Daniel Kinahan, well, what we do know is Kinahan and Bob Arum do a hell of a lot of business together. A hell of a lot. To the point where the way that Bob Arum acquired Tyson Fury was through Daniel Kinahan and MTK Global. People wonder how Tyson Fury fell into Bob Arum's lap after that first Deontay Wilder fight. Well, the way that happened was Bob Arum went and negotiated with Daniel Kinahan and got a piece of Tyson Fury to co-promote him. And in exchange, he gave MTK Global 32 plus dates on ESPN Plus for the entire year. So now MTK Global have many fight nights and fight dates for their fighters on ESPN Plus in exchange for them giving Bob Arum a piece of Tyson Fury. That's how they deal with Kinahan. Bob Arum is in that same Irish Mirror article. He stated that, look, man, the way I deal with Kinahan's fighters is I deal with Kinahan. He negotiates the purses with Kinahan. So Kinahan is the advisor. And when people see that he may go back to Top Rank, they may say, well, he's with Daniel Kinahan. And we all know if he's going to play the advisor, there's not enough room for Al Heyman. And this lowers the chances of Terence Crawford possibly heading to PBC if he's already picked up an advisor in Daniel Kinahan. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that Terence Crawford still would have to go and fight Top Rank fighters, because Top Rank ain't got no damn body. Think about it like this, fight fans. Kinahan's connections through MTK Global, he has access to fighters like Josh Taylor, of course. But even if you think of Virgil Ortiz fights for Golden Boy and Oscar. Yes, Oscar's cool with Bob, but also Oscar's on DAZN, where MTK Global has heavy influence, if you will. Maybe they can line up something with Virgil Ortiz and Terence Crawford, and you don't even have to deal with Bob Arum. Right? That sounds great. But hold up. Mr. Lincoln over here got one last play. Allegedly. Speculatively. What I think. The one last play is the situation that Terence Crawford is in right now. Sure, Terence Crawford can go with Kinahan and they can go and find other fights. It doesn't have to be Top Rank. Sure, that's a possibility. But like Bob says, I want to be in business with Terence Crawford for life. He even goes on and says, even well beyond he's gone. And he's saying that he's so assured with this quote that he's coming back. But he's not obligated. Putting it out there, he doesn't have to. No, you don't gotta come back. But I feel as though we're gonna still work together. That's how I think he's looking at it. And why? Because of this weird ass WBO purse bid with Shawn Porter. That's why. It's all starting to come together. Dots are lining up, fight fans. Think about this. How many months, weeks, vids that Mainman did asking the question of where the hell is Terence Crawford's mandatory? Why all of a sudden, I've been covering the fight game. I know how this all works. It should not be waiting 18 plus months for a WBO to call it the damn mandatory. It just didn't make no sense. His last mandatory was Aegis Kalvalauskas, whom Virgil Ortiz just recently defeated. So what the hell was the mandatory? Then we see Shawn Porter get placed in the number one position, and he does not try to enforce the mandatory or put the proper paperwork in, right? Which made no sense to no one if he wanted to face Terence Crawford. And then Bob Arum still proceeded to allegedly negotiate with Shawn Porter. And they could not come up with a deal. Remember? They did not want it to go to purse bid. No one was talking about a purse bid or nothing because Bob don't want this thing to go to purse bid. Remember? He wanted to do a deal. He allegedly offered Shawn Porter too low money. Then, according to Kenny Porter, when he went to meet with Bob Arum, well, Bob Arum was speaking about the Manny Pacquiao fight and put them on standby. So it didn't look like that they were running towards the Porter fight. And most importantly, Bob Arum just wanted to do a deal outside the purview of a purse bid. Well, when things fell apart, right after that, All of a sudden, Shawn Porter's dropped from number 1 to number 2. Virgil Ortiz is placed up there at the number 1 spot. Shawn Porter going on about his day or about his career, and then out of the blue, out of the sky, a miracle happens, and the WBO orders a mandatory, which they knew since Virgil Ortiz just recently fought Aegis Kalvalauskas. They couldn't order him to fight because he's too fresh off a fight. So it goes to Shawn Porter. Now Shawn Porter is supposedly in negotiations as we speak, right? Well, here's the trap. We know that Terence Crawford, on his last fight with Top Rank, or October, whichever one would have came first. Well, after his next fight, he would have been walking away. And I've been asking the question, how can Top Rank and Bob Arum watch Terence Crawford walk away with a WBO world title, knowing that the Earl Spence Jr. fight is there on the horizon, and PBC can scoop that up and run things? We know Floyd Mayweather didn't walk away that easy. We know Mikey Garcia didn't walk away that easy. We know Oscar De La Hoya didn't walk away that easy. It would make no sense that Terence Crawford, a man that Bob Arum allegedly lost money on, which I don't believe for a second, he's going to let Terence Crawford walk away. Or nah, it don't sound right. So now all of a sudden, the WBO is ordering Shawn Porter to face Terence Crawford, right? We can't get a deal done in the negotiating period. Bob Arum is clearly on record telling everyone, we don't want to go to purse bid. We don't want to go to purse bid. We want to work out a deal, which makes no sense to nobody, right? Because this fight is not big enough for a joint network thing. It will have to be one or the other, on one side or the other. It's not Mayweather and Pacquiao. So Bob Arum is telling everybody, no purse bid, no purse bid. Let's work out a deal. When the negotiation period runs out, they are forced to do business, do a purse bid. What happens? The purse bid gets extended because they request, both sides now, both sides request more negotiating time, which is I seen as a big plus because it looked like both sides are engaged. But why not the purse bid? Why is the purse bid? Why is everyone so scared? We were saying that Eddie Hearn and other entities may swoop in and steal that fight, and that's not what they want. Or the fact that if a purse bid happens, whichever, let's just say PBC wins the purse bid, then Terence Crawford is now being promoted by a promoter from on that side. His date beyond October will be fulfilled, which means that he can just walk away with the world title. Or does Bob want this control of this situation so he can force Terence Crawford to sign something for the fight? That's the way Mikey Garcia said his situation went. When he was forced to take if he took a certain fight, it would have extended his contract automatically. So my question is, now Terence Crawford is in a situation where he is forced to fight fans. Because guess what? He don't got the luxury of saying, I don't want this fight. If he says, I don't want this fight, they take his belt. Even if Shawn Porter backs out and PBC says, you know what, we're done here. We don't want to even do this fight. It goes to the next available fighter. The order continues. It don't stop fight fans. Either way, Terence Crawford is forced to fight. And Bob Arum would then say, hey, I sign this, you get the fight. If you don't, which you're not obligated to, you can leave. But the only thing is, you got to leave the belt. The WBO would strip him. And I'm sure Bob Arum would have no problem positioning someone from his stable, someone that he's in affiliation with, close to that title. I know Virgil Ortiz is in the number 1 spot, so it'd be Virgil versus someone. I don't know how that would go. The point I'm trying to make, fight fans, and if you're Terence Crawford, do you want to give up that world title? Do you go to PBC and get the same respect? Does boxing respect you the same without a world title? Does he get paid properly? Does he get the right opponents? Is people then jumping to face Terence Crawford? They're barely doing it with him with the belt. What happens when he doesn't have one? Riddle me that. I always ask the same question about Gary Russell Jr. People want him to move up and just drop his title. Well, what happens if he does it? Is people going to be rushing to fight him? I doubt it. So is the purse bid a trap? This is all speculation, of course. But is the purse bid a trap, fight fans? Is that why Bob feels so secure that Terence Crawford will be back? Or he would have a hard choice to make? Some of y'all may say, well, Mainman, I think he should just drop the belt so he can move on with his career. Well, who's to say that the PBC fighters will fight him? If he is in business with Kinahan, which I'm not sure, which according to the reports that he is, they saying that Bob is saying that he is. There's no room for Al Heyman, fight fans. How often do we see PBC fighters fighting MTK Global fighters? Riddle me that. If he stays over there with Kinahan, he doesn't have to go with the top ranked fighters, but maybe they can line up something with Virgil Ortiz, maybe, or Josh Taylor, maybe. But that's still not the PBC fighters. The fight fans want to see Crawford versus the PBC fighters. So the question I ask you, fight fans, is what position is Crawford really in? We just want to know. I guess we just don't know that until the purse bid happens. If the purse bid happens. If the purse bid happens. But like I've been telling y'all for the last few weeks, I took my attention off Shawn Porter backing out or whatever, and my attention now is squarely focused on this dude right here, Mr. Lincoln himself. Mr. Lincoln, Mr. Emancipation Proclamation himself, Bob Arum. If I'm Bud Crawford, there's no freaking way, dog. No way. No way. Go with your advisor and see what he can get done for you. After this fight, if this whatever happens, get the hell away from Arum if you can. But if you want to keep that world title, I can't say he should drop his belt, fight fan. That's a hard ask to ask. But some of y'all may say he should stand on pride and principle and still drop the belt and say, screw it, I'll be all right. I'm just gonna make my way. Trust and believe, I would not be mad with that decision neither. He's the family man. He knows his situation, economics and financials. He has to make a decision for that matter. But with Bob Arum saying that he gave you a slave contract, or indicating or using an example to that effect, that speaks volumes, bruh. Why would you ever want to be in business with a dude like that again? And he's sensing that he's never going to let you go. Look what Mikey had to go through. Look what Floyd had to go through. So I hope the brother's all good, man. I hope the brother's all good. But with statements like this out here, fight fans, like I said, man, that to me is a bridge too far. We'll talk more about this on the live stream. Y'all can bet that. I'm sure y'all got a lot to say about this. We had the phone lines rocking and rolling open. And I'll be dropping links in the chat, man, on the next live stream. We're going to talk about this, fight fans. How do y'all feel about it? Tell me where I'm going wrong, if I'm going wrong. A lot of this is speculation on my part, I will admit. Especially the part with the WBO mandatory. But that's just my opinion. And the way the dots are starting to line up, it's starting to make more sense when I say it that way. We'll see if things change. I'm hoping the best for Terence Crawford. Most importantly, Crawford, though, you're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, how can you continue to do business with this man after saying something like this? Thumbs up on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Share. Rock those bells. To the next video. Peace out.